Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really tackling something critical, I think. We're aiming to crack open what seems to be the definitive master key to success.
Yeah, this is based on years of pretty systematic scientific inquiry. We're drawing heavily from Ray Clear's work, specifically looking at the neuropsychology of self-discipline as researched by cybervision systems.
Right. And our goal here isn't just, motivational fluff. It's about understanding the actual mechanism. What's that single ingredient, really, that makes a difference?
Exactly. The thing that separates people who consistently hit their big goals from those who feel unfulfilled. We want to give you actionable stuff, knowledge grounded in science.
Okay, let's dive right in then, because that term itself, self-discipline, it carries a lot of baggage, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. For most people, you hear self-discipline and you immediately think iron will, rigidity, denial, long stretches of boring, unpleasant work.
Yeah, it sounds like pure suffering, which is probably why most people they never even start down that path.
But that whole image, it's completely counter to what the evidence actually shows. Truly self-disciplined people, they aren't miserable. They're not deprived.
So what is it then?
They've simply mastered the ability to systematically and progressively work towards a goal until they reach it. It's not about brute force. It's about efficient, consistent action. And crucially, it's fueled by internal excitement.
Ah, okay. So it's more about acquiring the knowledge you need, developing the necessary skills, and maybe getting positively obsessed.
That's a great way to put it. Striving without giving up consistently, day after day, year after year. It's really the power to say, okay, this is my purpose. This is how I'm going to achieve it.
And crucially, if that means sacrificing some short-term fun or gratification,
Yeah.
I'll do it because the long-term payoff is everything.
Yes, and that point is so vital today. We live in this, quick fix society. Everyone wants instant success.
We see the end result, the Olympic gold medal, the doctor's degree, the huge business, and we just assume there must have been some kind of magic shortcut.
Right. There's that famous story about Ray Kroc, the McDonald's founder. He told this anecdote to MBA students at Dartmouth. He'd seen this world-class concert pianist perform.
Oh, I think I know this one. Afterwards, a fan rushes up, totally amazed, and says something like, I'd give anything in the world if I could play like that.
Exactly. And Kroc's response was immediate and pretty profound. He just said, no, you wouldn't.
Because,
Because that pianist's incredible skill wasn't some gift from the gods. It was the result of years. Years of practicing several hours every single day. The price wasn't just wanting it. It was discipline, sacrifice, relentless practice.
so here's the big takeaway, the fundamental revelation from the research then. Talent, sure. High intelligence, great. Formal education, definitely helpful.
Powerful aids, absolutely. But they are not the master key.
Right. Millions of really gifted people are just stuck, aren't they? Because they lack that discipline to apply their gifts consistently.
That's it. The single quality that truly consistently separates the high achievers from, well, the unfulfilled masses. It's self-discipline.
Okay, so if self-discipline is the engine, we need sort of a blueprint for the machine, right?
Yeah.
What does this actually look like in practice?
Well, the cybervision systems research did exactly that. They looked at successful people across all kinds of fields, business, art, science, and they synthesized it down to 10 common qualities.
10 characteristics. Okay.
Yeah, and we can use these as a kind of benchmark, to compare our own behavior. But instead of just listing them 1 through 10, maybe we can group them thematically. Might make more sense.
Good idea. Let's maybe start with the mental foundation, like the core decisions that kick the whole journey off. Does that cover things like purpose and role models?
Exactly. That first grouping really centers around purpose, role models, and vision. The absolute foundational characteristic is a strong, well-defined sense of purpose.
Knowing exactly what you want.
Precisely. Developing that positive obsession we talked about and being willing to actually sacrifice other competing things for it.
You see that so clearly with someone like Roald Amundsen, the polar explorer. His mother insisted he become a doctor. He went to medical school, apparently miserable the whole time.
Right. And the moment she passed away, he just dropped everything. He apprenticed for years, focused entirely on polar exploration, and then, 24 years later, 1911, boom, first man to reach the South Pole.
His commitment was just
Yeah.
absolute.
And you contrast that with what the research calls the purposeless personality. The person who's always drifting, changing jobs, changing relationships, always leaving options open.
But by refusing to commit to one main thing.
Ironically, yeah, they end up committing themselves only to failure, really,
Yeah.
scattering their energy everywhere.
Okay, so you have that purpose. Then the research shows achievers quickly do what?
They seek out positive role models or mentors. They don't try to reinvent the wheel from scratch. They actively look for inspiration, strategies, even style from people who've already done what they're aiming for.
Like General Patton studying Alexander the Great for battle strategy.
Yeah, perfect example. Or Babe Ruth studying shoeless Joe Jackson's swing. Achievers learn from the best.
Whereas the undisciplined person,
Often, they actually distrust or even resent successful people. They tend to think success comes down to luck or connections or maybe even, shady gimmicks.
achievers see success as proof it's possible.
Yes, if they did it, I can too. It builds belief.
Okay, which logically leads to the third characteristic in this foundational group. Strength of imagination or sensory vision. This sounds key.
It is perhaps the most important. Think of Robert Kennedy's famous line, I see things as they could be and ask why not. But this isn't just passive daydreaming.
It's active goal setting.
Using rich, detailed, five-sensory images. What does success look like? What does it sound like, feel like, even taste or smell like?
Like visualizing the diploma, hearing the applause, feeling the trophy.
Exactly. Alfred Hitchcock, the director, apparently found the actual process of directing his films kind of anticlimactic because he had already visualized every single scene, every camera angle, every detail thousands of times in his imagination. He'd already lived it mentally. It's like experiencing a déjà vu of achievement before it happened.
Wow. Okay, that's a powerful foundation. Purpose, role models, sensory vision. What's the next thematic group?
Let's look at the internal defense mechanisms. How do achievers protect themselves from doubt, from quitting? This covers how they process experience and maintain that crucial belief.
Right, the mental armor.
This is where positive sensory orientation comes into play. Achievers consciously, consistently dwell on past accomplishments, even small wins.
Why? What does that do?
It serves as concrete proof to their own minds of their ability to succeed, and crucially, they refuse to recognize failure. They only see experience.
Okay, hold on. If they don't recognize failure, isn't there a risk of just being stubborn? Like ignoring important negative feedback?
That's a fair question, but the discipline comes in how they process it. Refusing to recognize failure means refusing to be paralyzed by the shame or finality of it.
Ah, so they criticize the method, not themselves.
Exactly. They're ruthless self-critics, but about the approach, the strategy. If something doesn't work, they pivot, they learn, they try something new. The undisciplined person, on the other hand, wastes enormous energy dwelling on perceived past failures.
Which just creates this downward spiral, right?
Yeah.
Negative reinforcement, fear of trying again.
Precisely. A deep-seated fear of effort itself.
And that leads directly into the next one, doesn't it? Self-assurance, an unshakable belief.
Yes. We're talking about a gut-level conviction here, something that almost goes beyond pure logic sometimes.
Like Christopher Columbus.
Perfect example. Most learned people at the time were telling him the world was flat, he'd fall off the edge, but he just stubbornly kept seeking financing based on his gut belief, his vision that it was round.
Self-doubt just slams the door shut on possibilities for the undisciplined.
Absolutely. Long before they even have a chance to act.
Okay, so we have the foundation, the mental defenses. What's the final group of characteristics, the operational stuff?
Right, the day-to-day grind. How do achievers actually do the work? This covers planning, knowledge, patience, persistence, and pleasure.
Let's start with planning and organization. Seems obvious, but maybe it's deeper.
It's fundamental. You can have the greatest vision, but without a plan, it stays a dream. Success demands breaking down those big macro goals into manageable pieces, setting clear priorities.
Like Henry Ford with the Model T. He didn't just build it.
No, he meticulously worked out the entire assembly line process, starting with the Model A, to make it affordable, scalable. It was a practical, methodical, revolutionary approach.
Unlike the scattered person who, say, starts hiring salespeople before they even have a product or production sorted out?
Exactly. Achievers know you need that detailed game plan. Otherwise, the most brilliant ideas just remain inert.
Okay, plan in place. Then comes acquiring essential knowledge and skills.
Yes. Achievers commit to learning whatever it takes. They understand that real learning, real skill development, think pre-med, med school, internship, takes time and focused effort.
There are no magic weekend courses that turn you into an expert overnight.
Right. You have to go through the actual process, the seasoning, which leads directly to patience or seasoning.
Ah, the time factor. Achievers get that anything truly worthwhile takes time to mature, to grow.
Absolutely. Think of Washington Augustus Roebling. He supervised the building of the Brooklyn Bridge for 11 years. 11 years. And for much of that time, he was almost completely paralyzed from Caisson's disease.
How did he even do it?
Watching from his window, communicating incredibly precise directions through messengers. For him, for the self-disciplined, time isn't the enemy, it's a tool. It's part of the process.
Whereas the undisciplined person wants it all now, time feels like an opponent.
Exactly. I want it now. That impatience kills so many dreams.
Okay, patience. Then come the twin pillars, persistence and perseverance. Are they different?
There's a subtle but important difference. Persistence is about never giving up on the original vision, sticking with the goal. Perseverance is about persisting in spite of hardships, opposition, setbacks, even agony.
Like that mountain climber, Ellie Hawkins.
Incredible story. She did this torturous 8-day climb of El Capitan, suffered a severe rope burn on her hand early on, intense pain. But she kept going. Why?
To prove that dyslexia, which she had, could be beaten, that it didn't define her limits.
Right. She didn't just persist with the climb. She persevered through intense physical pain and the internal opposition of her own perceived limitations.
Wow. Okay, that's 9. What's the final 10th characteristic?
This one's almost delightful. Experience pleasure while working.
Really? Pleasure.
Yes. Achievers get so excited by their goals, so engaged in the process, that the work itself becomes their life, their main source of pleasure and satisfaction. They find genuine joy in the doing, not just in anticipating the outcome.
You hear people say that sometimes, don't you? I can't believe I get paid to do this.
Exactly. I can't believe I'm getting rich doing this. It's so much fun. For them, the effort is the reward. The undisciplined person, they see work as a necessary evil. Stressful, boring.
Something you tolerate just to get disposable income for fun outside of work.
Right. A total contrast in mindset and experience.
Okay, so we have this clear model of the 10 characteristics of an achiever. Now let's get into the why behind it, the neuroscience. This seems to be the core of the Rayclear research, right?
Absolutely. Because if we're talking about sustained effort, maybe over decades, you need an engine much more powerful than just gritting your teeth, than simple willpower. You need internal emotional fuel.
And to understand that, we first need to see why the usual motivational tools often fall short.
Exactly. Think about, say, the big motivational speaker event, that sort of evangelical model. It gives you this massive short-term emotional high, right? A real fever pitch.
Yeah, you feel like you can conquer the world for about 48 hours.
But it creates a dangerous dependence on that external hype. It's almost like an addiction. When the speaker leaves, when the hype inevitably wears off, you crash. You're back to square one, needing another fix.
Okay, so external hype is temporary. What about tangible external rewards, like bonuses, prizes, just praise?
Well, those are essentially just pats on the head from the boss or from the system. They can work for short-term compliance, sure. Get someone to meet a quota this week. But they completely fail to build that deep, individual, self-driven commitment. It fosters a kind of childlike dependence on outside validation. Take the reward away, and the motivation often disappears too.
What about fear? Historically, fear seems like a pretty powerful motivator. Fear of poverty, fear of failure, fear of getting fired. That drives a lot of action.
Oh, fear is a great transport mechanism, no doubt. Like that old Mel Brooks joke, the 2,000-year-old man, you see a lion growl, you move 2 miles in a minute. Fear gets you moving.
But it's not sustainable for high achievement.
Not for the long haul, no. Fear-based achievement leads to crippling resentment. It leads to rapid burnout.
Right.
Stress eventually just breaks the system or the person. True, long-term, positive motivation has to be generated internally.
Okay, and this is where the breakthrough research comes in. Dr. Carl H. Pribram at Stanford, the father of neuropsychology.
That's him. His work was revolutionary because it conclusively proved that self-discipline isn't some fixed character trait you're born with or without. It's a learned behavior, and it's based on harnessing specific neurological processes.
What was his first key discovery?
It centers on the power of sensory images. This is the science that underpins that sensory vision characteristic we talked about earlier. Pribram showed that the human brain, at a deep level, barely distinguishes between a vividly imagined experience and a real, actual experience.
Wait, really? How does that work? The brain gets confused.
It's not so much confusion as it is the wiring. Imagination, especially vivid, sensory-rich imagination, is critical because it's the quickest, most direct way to evoke the massive emotional power needed to sustain drive.
Can you give an example? How does imagining something trigger real emotion?
Sure. Think about the classic lemon test. If I ask you to vividly imagine holding a firm, ripe, yellow lemon, Feel its cool skin. Imagine slicing it, seeing the juice well up, hearing the squish, smelling that sharp citrus scent, and now imagine biting deep into it.
Ugh, yeah, I can almost taste it. My mouth is watering, puckering a bit.
Exactly. Your physiological systems responded salivation, puckering. Why? Because your limbic system, the brain's emotion center, got triggered instantly by the vivid sensory input you generated in your prefrontal cortex, your imagination. It reacted just as if real lemon acid hit your tongue.
Wow. So the emotion, the drive, the excitement, the repulsion, whatever it is real, physiologically real. Whether this trigger is physically present or just intensely imagined.
Precisely. But, as we hinted before, this is a two-edged sword. If your emotions are constantly being jerked around by impulsive, uncontrolled sensory images, fear of missing out, anxiety about the future, dwelling on past hurts that leads to erratic, victimized behavior.
But if you harness that power,
If you consciously direct that imaginative power, focusing it entirely on a disciplined plan, on your desired outcome, then that emotion becomes inexhaustible fuel.
okay, that's huge. What was Pribram's second critical finding?
It built on the first. He called it images of achievement, or the mental blueprint. He confirmed that all sustained, purposeful action isn't driven by logic alone. It's governed by this internal, incredibly detailed blueprint in your brain.
A blueprint made of.
Rich sensory detail, sight, sound, touch, taste, smell. This mental blueprint is the continuous source of that emotional fuel we need.
So think of the brain like the hardware. Powerful, but needs instructions.
Exactly. The brain is the hardware. These detailed sensory-rich images of achievement, your vision of success, they act as the software. They tell the brain precisely how to act, what to focus on, filter out distractions, and crucially, why all the effort is worthwhile.
That explains someone like Stan Smith, the Wimbledon champion. His years of grueling practice weren't just about willpower.
No, his dedication was sustained, fueled by the vivid, internalized vision he'd created years before actually seeing himself receiving the trophy, hearing the applause, feeling the atmosphere of the winner's ball. That image was his emotional well. It made the thousands of hours of repetitive practice meaningful.
It's amazing how powerful that sensory focus can be. You mentioned it can even diminish physical pain.
It can. Consider the example of the Taekwondo master, young Tai Li. He could repeatedly strike a wooden board until his knuckles were raw and bleeding, yet reportedly remain completely oblivious to the pain during the act.
How is that possible?
Because his conscious mind, his entire sensory focus, was deliberately displaced. He wasn't focusing on the impact on his hand. He was intensely focused on the sights, sounds, and smells of his home back in Korea. His mental blueprint completely overrode the pain signals.
So the lesson here is profound. If you can focus your senses entirely on the goal, on the reward and encoded in that sensory blueprint.
Then the intermediate pain, the boredom, the difficulty associated with the required work, it actually diminishes. Your brain prioritizes the emotionally tagged blueprint above the immediate discomfort. It's a neurological hack for endurance.
Okay, we've got the model of the achiever, those 10 characteristics. We understand the neuroscience, the emotional fuel from sensory vision. Now, how do we put this into practice? We need the mechanics, right? The action frameworks.
Exactly. We need to translate the science into daily reality. Ray Clear's system presents what he calls the 7 keys to self-discipline. And it's helpful to think of them as a chain reaction. Belief catches fire, and that fire translates into visible action.
A chain reaction. Okay, let's walk through it step by step. Where does it start?
Step 1, create a purpose. This is the initial spark, and it can't be lukewarm. It has to be a cause, a goal that genuinely demands your wholehearted commitment. Otherwise, it just won't have the gravity to pull you through the tough spots.
Got it. Spark plugs in. What's next?
Step 2, find role models. We touched on this. Seeing others who have achieved what you want gives you that immediate, exciting sense that, hey, this is actually possible. It takes the idea from pure fantasy into the realm of the achievable.
Makes it feel real. Okay, step 3.
Step 3, translate that purpose into a sensory-rich vision. This is where we really leverage Dr. Pribram's findings. You have to use all 5 senses consciously to make the leap from the abstract, yeah, maybe it's possible, to that deep, heartfelt, gut-level conviction. I know I can do this.
That's moving from spark to ember.
Exactly. A glowing ember of solid conviction.
Then step 4.
Step 4, ignite emotion. That conviction, that powerful, reality-munding mental blueprint you've built, it bursts into a flame of powerful emotion. And remember, the root word of emotion is motion. That emotional flame incites immediate, vigorous action. You feel compelled to move.
Emotion leads to motion. Okay, what's step 5?
Step 5, Planning. This is the first concrete motion. You start mapping out the actual steps, breaking down the vision into a practical step-by-step process, the micro tasks needed to make the vision a reality. And planning itself actually fuels the fire more because it makes the goal seem tangible, reachable.
Makes sense. The plan makes the dream concrete. Step 6.
Step 6. Acquire knowledge and skills. Now you have the drive. The inspiration you draw from that emotionally charged vision gives you the power to persist through the often difficult learning and seasoning phase. You want to learn what's needed rather than looking for flimsy shortcuts.
You embrace the learning curve because the vision pulls you. And finally, step 7.
Step 7. Persistence and perseverance. This is the relentless forward drive we talked about. It's not a one-time burst. It's continuous. And it's constantly refueled by the strength of that initial sensory vision. This creates kind of positive feedback loop, a self-perpetuating spiral.
Where the vision fuels the action, achieving results reinforces the vision, which fuels more action.
Exactly. Vision fuels reality, and reality fuels vision. It becomes self-sustaining.
Okay, that's a powerful 7-step sequence. But we need to be clear about the kind of goal we're setting in step 1. The system distinguishes between macro and micro purposes.
Yes, that's a crucial distinction. Your macro purpose is the big picture, the large, inclusive goal, the main desire, the big idea that defines your ultimate contribution or achievement.
And the micro purposes.
Those are the stepping stones, the essential daily, weekly, monthly, yearly tasks or milestones you need to hit to actually achieve that macro purpose. So if your macro purpose is, say, becoming a leading cancer researcher,
Then getting your bachelor's degree in biology, then your PhD, those are necessary micro purposes along the way.
precisely. Each one is essential, but it serves the larger goal.
So how do you help someone nail down that true driving macro purpose? It sounds like the foundation for everything else.
It is, and the research offers a really interesting 4-part process to define it. It uses imagination not just for fuel, but as a kind of reality check for your deepest desires.
Okay, intriguing. What's the first part?
Part 1 is limitless wishing. You literally close your eyes, get comfortable, and genuinely imagine you found a genie. He'll grant you 5 specific wishes. The key is they have to be humanly possible, things you could conceivably achieve, but right now, assume no limits. Drill down what would truly change your life for the better.
5 wishes.
Okay.
Then.
Part 2 is wishful imagining. Now, you take each of those 5 wishes, one by one, and you visualize it fulfilled, using that rich sensory detail we keep talking about. See it, hear it, feel it. Pay close attention to your emotional response to each vision. Which one evokes the strongest, most visceral, positive emotional surge?
You're using emotion as the detector for your true desire.
Exactly. The one that lights you up the most inside, that's likely your deepest, most authentic desire. Your true macro purpose is probably hidden in there.
Okay, makes sense. What's part 3?
Part 3 is creative biography. This one is really powerful for long-term perspective. Imagine it's the year 2100, or even later. You pick up a digital encyclopedia, find the entry under your name, and read about your life's accomplishments and contributions. What do you want that entry to say? What legacy did you leave?
Wow, that forces you to think beyond immediate wants. Like the example of Thomas Arnold, the scholar known for integrity.
Yeah.
What defines your completed life story?
Precisely. It connects your daily actions to a much larger meaning.
And the final part? Part 4.
Part 4 is writing your personal statement of purpose. Based on the insights from the first 3 steps, the wishing, the emotional check, the legacy, you distill it down. Write down a concise statement that captures the essence of your macro purpose.
Like George Washington's focus on securing liberty and freedom. It's not a detailed plan.
No, it's the focusing tool, the destination marker that guides all the micro plans. It's your North Star.
But what if things change? What if you start down a path and realize it's not quite right, or circumstances force a change? Does the disciplined person just rigidly stick to the original plan?
Great question. And the answer is no. This is a crucial point about flexibility. The self-disciplined achiever uses this whole visualization process not just to set the goal, but as an ongoing reality check.
How so?
They constantly test the vision against current circumstances, against what they're learning. So let's say you're 4 years into that business degree, aiming for retail management, your initial micro goal, but you discover a passion and talent for direct marketing data analysis.
The undisciplined person might just drop out or feel lost.
Right, but the disciplined achiever doesn't abandon the underlying drive or the macro purpose, maybe building successful businesses. Instead, they alter the micro goal, the specific path to fit the new reality, the new passion.
So the core emotional fuel remains. The destination is similar, but the specific route adapts.
Exactly. They adapt the plan without abandoning the purpose. Flexibility within discipline. That's key.
We keep coming back to this idea of long-term commitment. Seems essential. Which brings us back to seasoning, the law of nature in achievement, as the research calls it.
Yes. And since we're aiming this at listeners who want actionable knowledge, maybe even quick results, we absolutely have to address that powerful impulse for shortcuts.
Because shortcuts.
Almost inevitably lead to mediocrity or even failure when it comes to significant goals. Real lasting success requires time. Time for knowledge to deepen, for skills to mature and grow.
You mentioned Epictetus, the Roman philosopher, and his analogy.
Yeah, it's perfect. You talked about the fig tree. You can't just decide you want a ripe fig tomorrow. The tree has to blossom first, then endure the weather, then the fruit has to form, and then finally it has to ripen fully on its own schedule. You can't rush it. Same with grapes for wine.
You have to allow the process to unfold. That requires a major shift away from immediate gratification, doesn't it?
Totally. And the research offers a really stark, pragmatic way to think about this. It's called the "you're going to be 40 anyway" principle.
Okay, explain that one.
Let's use the example of becoming an architect. Say the whole process school apprenticeship takes 6 years. The simple, undeniable fact is, in 6 years, you will be 6 years older. You'll be 40 or 30 or whatever age it is, whether you spend that time studying architecture or not.
So you have a choice. That block of time is going to pass regardless.
Exactly. You can choose to invest that inescapable time preparing for your highest success, or you can choose to let it drift by, maybe pursuing short-term pleasures, and arrive at that future age without having made progress on your big goal. The time passes anyway.
That's a sobering thought. But the idea of a 6-year commitment, or longer, can feel absolutely crushing, overwhelming.
It can. Which is precisely why achievers master microtask focus. They consciously refuse to dwell on the sheer enormity of the macro purpose all the time.
They break it down.
Constantly. Remember Eric Severide, the newscaster? He wrote this massive book, like 250,000 words based on his scripts. When asked how he did it, he said he never thought about the whole book. He focused only on writing the next paragraph.
Not the chapter, not the 2,000 scripts total, just the next paragraph.
Right. By concentrating solely on the manageable microtask right in front of him, the overwhelming macro goal got achieved almost unconsciously, piece by piece.
And this intense focus on the microtask, does that relate to that state you mentioned earlier, time quickening?
Yes, absolutely. That microfocus is often what triggers it. Time quickening is that almost magical feeling, that experience where you get so deeply engrossed in what you're doing that time itself seems to warp. Hours feel like minutes. Years can seem to vanish in pursuit of the goal.
And this isn't just random luck when it happens. It can be induced.
The research suggests, yes, it can be deliberately triggered. It's essentially the flow state applied to achievement. There are about 6 practical steps identified to help consciously induce this state. Fundamentally, they're all about minimizing distractions and maximizing sensory immersion in the task.
Okay, let's hear them. 6 steps to make time fly while being productive. Step 1.
First, consciously create a working environment free of distractions and diversions. Phone off or silent, notifications muted, maybe even working in a specific location. You're signaling to your brain, this time is dedicated.
Makes sense. Second.
Focus intensely on one single task until it's completed. Avoid multitasking or context switching. Every time you switch, you pay a cognitive cost, it drains energy and breaks the immersion.
One thing at a time. Third.
Surrender yourself entirely to that task. Really commit to doing it well, staying focused until that defined microtask is finished. Pour your energy into it. Plan to work uninterruptedly for a significant block of time. If your schedule allows, aim for at least a couple of hours. Short bursts often don't allow deep enough immersion for time quickening to kick in.
Okay, block out the time. Fifth.
Do not watch the clock. Constantly checking how much time has passed versus how much work is left is a major source of pressure and discouragement.
Yeah.
It pulls you out of the flow. Hide the clock if you have to.
Let yourself get lost in it. And sixth.
Know when to stop. Stop working when your thinking genuinely becomes muddled or inefficient due to fatigue. Pushing through exhaustion leads to errors and burnout. The disciplined person recognizes that rest, strategically taken, is actually a necessary microtask for maintaining peak performance long term.
Okay, 6 steps to trigger time quickening. But all of this microfocus, time quickening it, requires starting the work in the first place. Which brings us to the big enemy.
Procrastination. The achievement killer. The research calls it the #1 cause of failure, and the really dangerous thing about it is that it becomes deeply, deeply habitual.
a habit of not doing things. And the research actually digs into the psychology behind chronic procrastination. It categorizes people.
Yes, it identifies three main groups based on the underlying fear that drives the procrastination habit.
Okay, what's the first group?
Group 1 fears failure. These individuals often set their personal standards impossibly high, almost unattainably high. Then, consciously or unconsciously, they only work at maybe 60 or 70% capacity.
Why would they do that?
So if they achieve only mediocre results, they can blame it on external factors. They engage in what the research calls brinksmanship. They say, well, I only had 2 days to do it, or I was interrupted constantly. They avoid the real test of putting their absolute best effort forward and potentially still falling short. Procrastination becomes a shield for their ego.
Wow. Okay, that's insidious. What's the second group?
Group 2 fears success. It sounds counterintuitive, right?
Yeah, who fears success?
People who are subconsciously afraid of the consequences of succeeding, afraid of standing out from the crowd, afraid of outgrowing their current relationships, their family, their friends. Success means change, visibility, maybe jealousy from others, so they hold themselves back, procrastinating on the very actions that would lead to that success.
Protecting their current comfort zone, even if it means sacrificing their potential. Okay. And the third group?
Group 3 uses procrastination as a form of rebellion against authority. This might stem from childhood patterns or current frustrations with a boss, a spouse, or just the system. By delaying tasks, missing deadlines, they get a temporary, subtle feeling of control, of asserting their independence, even if it's ultimately self-destructive.
A feeling of power derived
Mm.
from non-compliance. Okay, those are deep psychological traps. How do we fight back? What are the actionable techniques?
Well, first, there's the foundational advice from the philosopher William James. It's powerful. Do something every day for no other reason than that you would rather not do it.
Just build the muscle of action.
Exactly. It's about consciously, deliberately replacing the ingrained habit of delay with a new habit of action, even on small, unpleasant things. Just start doing.
Okay, build the action habit. What else?
Then there's a very practical technique called Swiss cheesing. Imagine your big, daunting task, writing that report, cleaning the garage, is a solid block of Swiss cheese. It looks formidable.
Okay.
Swiss cheesing means poking small, manageable holes in it. Divide that overwhelming 2-hour report into, say, 8 distinct 15-minute micro tasks. Maybe outline intro, find statistic 1, write first paragraph. Each hole you poke makes the whole block seem less solid, less intimidating. It lowers the psychological barrier to just starting one small piece.
I like that. Poking holes in the overwhelm. What's the last technique?
Unscheduling. This is another powerful reality check, especially for people who feel they have no time. You take a weekly calendar grid hour by hour. First, you block out all your truly fixed commitments. Sleep, work hours, commuting, meals, scheduled appointments, family obligations, everything essential.
Okay, fill in the non-negotiables.
Right. When you do that honestly, most people are shocked to discover they actually have maybe 20, 30, sometimes even more hours of genuinely free time scatting throughout the week. It's revealed right there on the chart.
Time they didn't realize they had.
Exactly. Once that discretionary time is identified, the next step is to schedule your micro-project tasks into those slots. Treat those appointments with your goals as seriously as you treat a doctor's appointment. Learn to say no to interruptions or diversions during that scheduled time. Attack those small tasks uninterruptedly within the time you've proven you actually have. It removes the no time excuse.
Okay, we've covered a lot. The mindset, the neuroscience, the planning, managing time, beating procrastination. Now we circle back to what feels like the ultimate key, the qualities that make sure the whole plan actually survives contact with reality.
Persistence and perseverance. We mentioned them as characteristics, but they deserve their own focus because at the end of the day, this is often what makes or breaks success. And it's vital to keep that subtle difference in mind.
Remind us again.
Persistence is the internal commitment. It's about sticking with the original vision, refusing to abandon the goal mentally. Perseverance is the external action. It's about continuing to push forward in spite of crippling hardship, intense opposition, unexpected setbacks. It's persistence made manifest against resistance.
Got it. And these aren't just things you hope you have. They need to be actively developed, right? Like muscles.
Absolutely. The research outlines 5 crucial steps, or practices really, to consciously build this relentless internal resolve, this ability to keep going.
Okay, let's break them down. Step 1 for building persistence.
Step 1, rekindle and refuel your vision and purpose daily. This is non-negotiable. Remember that sensory-rich visualization, the emotional fuel. You can't just do it once. You have to consciously revisit it, reconnect with it every single day. Keep that emotional drive topped up. It's what gets you out of bed when things are tough.
Daily refueling makes sense. Step 2.
Step 2. Firmly anchor the core attitude. I can achieve anything I set my mind to. This isn't about arrogance. It's about cultivating a deep-seated belief in your ability to figure things out, your ability to take the next step. Internalize that idea. The journey of 1,000 miles truly begins with just one single acknowledged step. Focus on the step, believe you can take it.
Build that fundamental self-efficacy. Okay, step 3.
Step 3, reframe obstacles. See them as opportunities to learn. This is a huge mental shift. Instead of seeing difficulties as signs you should quit, actively embrace them as chances to get stronger, smarter, more resourceful. Remember Benjamin Franklin's insight, those things that hurt instruct. Every challenge overcome builds character and refines your approach.
Turn roadblocks into learning labs. Step 4.
Step 4, when progress is blocked, increase knowledge and look for creative solutions.
Yeah.
Don't just bang your head against the same wall. If the current path isn't working, the answer isn't usually to quit the goal. It's to learn more, acquire new skills, or find an innovative workaround. Remember, a failure is often just someone who hasn't successfully learned from their mistakes yet. If you're blocked, it means you need a new path, inspired by new knowledge.
Don't quit, pivot, and learn. And the final step, step 5.
Step 5, turn your work into fun. This loops back to that 10th characteristic. If you consistently apply the previous 4 steps, fueling the vision, building belief, learning from obstacles, finding creative solutions, the work itself should increasingly feel aligned with your purpose. It starts to feel less like sacrifice and more like engaging, enjoyable problem solving. The process itself becomes the pleasure.
It's the culmination of applying the discipline. Okay, those 5 steps build the internal muscle. But setbacks will happen. Life throws curveballs. The true test isn't avoiding them, it's how you respond, right?
Exactly. Discipline isn't about a perfect, uninterrupted journey. It's about having a framework for dealing with those inevitable setbacks and turning them into springboards, not roadblocks.
And the research offers guidelines for that too.
Yes, 5 practical ways to deal with setbacks constructively. First, never ignore a problem. Don't hope it goes away. Deal with it directly, immediately. Avoidance lets small issues fester and grow into catastrophic failures.
Confront it head on. Second,
Don't blame others or chalk it up to bad luck. Even if external factors contributed, take responsibility for finding the solution. Your discipline is about solving your path forward, regardless of the cause of the setback. Blame disempowers you.
own the response. Third,
Continually strengthen all your qualities of self-discipline. Be your own severest critic, but in a constructive way, not as your worst enemy. If you slip up, if a microtask fails, acknowledge it honestly, analyze why, learn the lesson, pick yourself up, and immediately get back on course. Don't wallow.
learn and adjust. Fourth,
Actively look for the seed of opportunity hidden within every setback. This is partly an emotional reframing technique. Ask yourself, what can I learn here? What new path does this open up? What strength can I build from this? Finding that potential positive angle instantly lessens the emotional sting of discouragement and points towards future action.
find the silver lining, the lesson. And fifth,
Always remember that every problem has a solution. A situation only truly becomes an unsolvable problem when you decide it is. Approach every block, every setback, with an open, creative mind, fueled by that unwavering belief that a solution exists, even if you can't see it yet. Keep looking.
maintain that solution-oriented mindset, that relentless resolve.
There was a story that really captured this, wasn't there? Don McCall.
An incredible, harrowing example of perseverance under the most extreme conditions imaginable. He was a survivor after his ship, the USS Indianapolis, was sunk in World War II. Hundreds of men were left adrift in shark-infested waters for 4 days.
4 days. How did he survive when so many didn't? Pure self-discipline, according to the accounts. First, he immediately recognized the danger of mass panic and physically separated himself from the hysterical groups. He used his naval knowledge to protect himself as best he could from sun exposure and hypothermia.
And the most critical part,
Resisting the agonizing, overwhelming impulse to drink the readily available seawater, he knew it was fatal, a form of immediate gratification, thirst-quenching that guaranteed death. While others succumbed to that desperate urge, he maintained the discipline, fueled by the will to live, rationing tiny amounts of fresh water he might find, holding death at bay for 96 horrific hours until rescue. It was knowledge, discipline, and sheer will against overwhelming odds.
just Unbelievable perseverance. And there was another example, Don Bennett.
Yes, a powerful symbol of microtask focus and persistence. He decided to climb the 14,000-foot Mount Rainier as an amputee with only one leg.
How is that even possible?
When asked how he sustained that seemingly impossible effort, hopping and using crutches on treacherous terrain, his answer perfectly summarized the entire philosophy we've been discussing. He said, "My vision became a reality one hop at a time."
One hop at a time, focusing only on the next micro step, fueled by the macro vision.
Exactly. That's the ultimate power of refusal to quit. The research is conclusive on this. Persistence and perseverance, when properly fueled by that strong sensory vision and guided by a plan, make it almost statistically impossible for you not to eventually succeed in your most important endeavors. It just becomes a matter of time and continued effort. #tag outro.
Wow. We have covered a tremendous amount of ground here. We've really done a deep dive into this master key of success. We started by redefining self-discipline.
Right, moving it away from this idea of suffering and punishment towards something more like joyful, relentless, consistent pursuit, fueled by deep internal excitement, not external force.
We laid out that 10-characteristic model of the disciplined achiever, linking purpose, role models, vision, self-assurance, planning, patience, persistence, and even pleasure in the work itself.
And crucially, we dug into the why, the scientific foundation from Dr. Pribram, showing how that sensory visualization isn't just wishful thinking, it's the actual neurological engine driving sustained motivation. It's how you generate that emotional fuel.
Then we got practical. We walked through the 7-step formula for putting it into action, the chain reaction from purpose to perseverance. We talked about defining your true macro purpose using tools like the creative biography.
And we tackled the critical concepts of mastering time, understanding seasoning, applying the "you're going to be 40 anyway" principle, and learning how to trigger that magical state of time quickening to make the work engaging and fight burnout.
Plus, those actionable tools like Swiss cheesing and unscheduling to finally beat procrastination, ensuring the necessary work actually gets done, all fueled daily by persistence and that crucial belief that obstacles are just opportunities to learn and grow stronger.
It's important to remember, though, this isn't a one-and-done thing. Self-discipline isn't a destination you arrive at. It's a lifetime commitment. It's a process that requires constant vigilance, constant refueling of that vision.
But the good news is it creates momentum, right? Every small victory, every micro task completed, it breeds more confidence, more success, and makes the next step feel just that little bit easier.
Absolutely. It's a positive upward spiral. By learning to truly harness your imagination to create and maintain that powerful, emotionally resonant sensory blueprint for your goals, you will almost inevitably find yourself becoming that focused, single-minded, stubbornly successful person you've perhaps always admired from afar.
So we'll leave you, our listeners, with this final thought. Don't just keep talking about the life you want or the goals you have. Start using your imagination actively, consciously, not just to dream, but to create the fuel, that harnessed emotion Dr. Pribram talked about. Let that fuel drive the relentless daily motion toward your highest, most powerful ambition.
It really is time to take that first disciplined step, or maybe just that next hop.